Welcome to the Observe Day podcast, the show where we celebrate the days that matter. From holidays to meaningful observances, we bring you inspiring conversations, stories, and ideas to make each day count. Whether it's raising awareness, learning something new, or simply sparking joy, this is your space to explore the calendar in a whole new way. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I'm excited to share today's observance with you. Let's dive in. Okay, this National Read a New Book Month, we're talking with someone who doesn't just write chapters, he lives them. Dan Clouser is the author of four inspiring books, a blogger, podcaster, and speaker who traded a 30-year career running a youth sports nonprofit for a life of travel, service, and storytelling. Alongside his wife Sandy, Dan lives full-time in an RV, volunteering across the country and meeting remarkable people whose stories deserve to be told. His own journeys prove that every life has new chapters waiting to be written. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, then since it's National Read a New Book Month, I have to ask, what's a book that's changed your life?
Probably Tuesdays with Maury is my favorite book. It was a really good book, very touching, incredible story, and just highly recommend it for any readers out there for sure.
Wow, okay. Uh, I noticed that one of the things I noticed, and even in the intro I read it, is that you've been a sports nonprofit leader. How did your journey move from from sports nonprofit leader to full-time traveler, and then to your first book?
Pretty, kind of interesting, really. I mean, I never had a desire to, travel full time. My mom did that back in the 80s. In her mid 40s, she took an old 67 Plymouth Valiant, took the back seat out of it, put a sheet of plywood in there and a mattress, and kind of turned it into a quasi RV. And I always admired her for doing that, but that was always her story. I never thought it would be my story. Because I absolutely loved running our nonprofit and working with sports. Sports has been a passion of mine my whole life. Working with kids and teaching them life lessons through the game. It wasn't just about the X's and O's or winning and losing. It was about, what they could take beyond the field. So I never, ever thought that this would be my journey. My first book I actually published in 2012 when I was still running the nonprofit, The Beauty of a Diamond Through the Eyes of a Coach. 2018, 2019, I was messing around with adding some chapters to that book. And I ended up taking two solo trips in the very beginning of 2019. One was from Pennsylvania, where we lived, down to Dallas, Texas. And on the way home, I went through Louisiana, met with some friends of ours, and then back to Pennsylvania. And a couple months later, I did the same thing to Orlando, Florida. Stopped on my way down and spent some time with one of my old players in Atlanta. And it was on those two trips where I kind of had this aha moment where I had finally realized why my mom did what she did, because there was such an incredible serenity on those two trips. The drive was amazing. It was the first time in my life that I was on a trip where I actually took the time and enjoyed the journey as opposed to rushing to get to the destination and that sort of thing. After both of those trips, I ended up writing and adding those chapters that I'd been, I don't know about struggling to add or just finding the time or the inspiration to add. And I'd written like I hadn't written in years at that point. And that's when I kind of started hearing this inner voice saying, it's time for a new chapter. And I resisted it at first because this was an organization I had founded. It had been 60% of my life I'd spent working with this organization. So I did not embrace that initial calling, so to speak. But I slowly came around to it. I ran it by my wife. She thought I had lost my mind. But then she again was dealing with her own personal issues with her employer. And after a while, she came around as well. And, you talk to both of us now, and it's the best decision we ever made. So it wasn't like it was a lifelong dream of mine. I loved what I was doing. So I think the underlying message there is like, it's never too late and there's never a wrong time to make a change, even if you love what you do. It's not like I was in this dead end, hate my job, corporate 9 to 5, working for the man sort of thing. I was the boss. I was calling my own shots. I was doing what I wanted to do. So I think the underlying message there is just, if you feel a calling to change directions or, change what you're doing, to go ahead and do it. And since then I've, published 3 more books. I did add those 10 chapters to my first book and republished that in 2021, and then published The Journey of My Mother's Son, Volume 1 in 2022. And then my children's book, and the coloring book that was a partner product to the children's book both came out in 2023. And I have a new book, A Good Boy's Journey, which is a memoir written as though myself and our dog, who had passed last April, were both the authors. So book
Yeah,
number 5 is on its way out
yeah,
here. So
yeah. How do you choose the themes for your books? Do they start from travels, you volunteer work, or you just write and see what happens?
yeah, just kind of write and see what happens. I mean, like the Journey of My Mother's Son, like I do have that planned out to be a 4-book series. The volume 1 was many random thoughts from the road, and it was literally just short stories that weren't necessarily interconnected, just something that inspired me on our travels. So it's written in kind of a journal form where I put the date in that I wrote it, and whether it was a beach sunrise or a desert sunset or something else that inspired me, I talk about that. And then volume 2 of that series is Many Little People, which will talk about just a lot of the people that we met on our travels, people who I still have connections with today, and people who I don't know if I'll ever see them. And a lot of them I don't even remember their name, but just a conversation on a
Yeah,
park bench or, in a campground or on a hiking trail just really inspired me. So I'm looking forward to getting that book out just because it really talks to you know, the the effect that every interaction you have with people in life means something, you know, even if it's just,
yeah,
again, a 5-minute conversation on a park bench or a trail, like both parties leave that conversation and they're different than what they were before that conversation started. And again, it could just be talking about
yeah,
what's ahead on the trail, or it could have been, when our dog was still around. I mean, he was the ultimate extrovert, so he always wanted to interact with people. So a lot of those conversations stemmed around, their dogs, or if they had a golden retriever or something like that. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Volume 3 of that series is
yeah,
Many Little Places, which will just talk about a lot of the places that we've been to. And the toughest part about both those books is just narrowing it down to what gets included, because we've seen so many beautiful places, we've met so many incredible people. I know I'm going to end up leaving things out that should be included in those books. So that's the toughest part of those 2
yeah,
books, because I'm kind of writing them simultaneously. um, and it's just a matter of weaning it down, and choosing the right people and places to include. And then the 4th volume of that book is just going to be a picture book called Many Little Pictures, which will just kind of be like a coffee table book that'll have photos of the spots that we've been to. Nothing professionally taken, just stuff that my wife and I have taken on our cameras. Um, and yeah, so that's how that series is going to roll out.
yeah. For someone who is picking up your work this month, which book would you recommend they start with, and why?
Well, it's a tough question. I mean, it's like asking, which one of your kids is your favorite. Um, but I
I
guess,
mean, technically, it's not because it's a little bit different. Because it's like, okay, when I get to your house, which of the kids should I talk to first? Like, no, 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 talk to that one. That's the one that will be able to get you started on what you need to do before you can talk to the other kids.
yeah.
Before we dive deeper, I'd love to invite you to join the Observe Day newsletter. Every week, I send you highlights of upcoming observances, creative ways to celebrate, and behind the scenes extras from the shows. It's the perfect way to stay inspired and never miss a meaningful moment. Sign up today at observeday.com/join. That is observeday.com/join. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
Um, my books have so many different genres and themes, so to speak. Like The Beauty of a Diamond Through the Eyes of a Coach, it's not just a book about baseball and coaching, it's a book about leadership and life lessons. So you don't necessarily have to be a baseball person or a sports fan to get that book. If you're in any type of leadership role, that's going to be a great book for you. And again, The Journey of My Mother's Son, it's not just necessarily about full-time RV travel. It's about appreciating the little things and being able to take time to enjoy the moment. Then obviously, Four Paws and Six Wheels Across America is a children's book, but it's loved by, all ages. So it's just a 42-page full color illustrated book. Um, and, you know, it's, like I said, I've had 6-year-olds come up to me after a book signing who told me it's great. And I've had, adults and grandparents tell me it's great. The coloring book is, it's a coloring book. Obviously, it's just a fun book to have. And the book that's getting released here in August, A Good Boy's Journey. I mean, if you're a dog lover, that's definitely the book for you. Because again, it's written as though he was the author of some chapters and I was the author of some chapters. So it, just talks to, you know, what effect our four-legged friends have on us. Even though we've never actually exchanged a conversation, our dog had an incredible, profound effect on both my wife and I during his 15 years on Earth. So I didn't really answer the question for you. I kind of threw it out there, but if you want to start at the beginning, start at the first book and just kind of work your way through because they're all a little bit connected.
Yeah, you share the stories of many little people doing many little things. How has writing about others shaped your own philosophy, your own life philosophy?
I just think so many times as human beings, we get caught up on focusing on the big picture and um, we forget that all those big pictures are made up of, millions of little things that are tied together. Like if you're looking at a painting of a tree in a field, like most people are focusing on the tree, but there's a million other things around that tree that are part of that picture. The grass, the field, maybe it's in the middle of a wheat field, maybe there's mountains behind it and clouds. So it really is taking a step back and appreciating, those little interactions with people that mean the world to all of us. My wife just got out of the hospital. She was in the hospital for 8 days about a month ago, and just friends of ours that we hadn't heard from in quite some time shooting us a text asking how's Sandy doing.
Yeah, yeah.
It literally took them
Oh,
30
that's
seconds
that's
to
very
do that,
thoughtful.
but made us feel so good. So I think when you focus on those little things, just smiling at people, a little nod, a little smile when you're walking, if you're in the grocery store or going into a restaurant, holding the door for somebody, you see their reaction and it really makes their day. And it was a gesture that literally cost you nothing to stand there and hold the door for the person that's coming in behind you. But yet they were very appreciative of that. And I think that's the main thing is just focusing on what are those little things we can do to make somebody's life a little bit better in that moment.
Has life on the road given you a different perspective on the importance of books and storytelling and writing?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, storytelling for sure. Because again, every day there's a story that we come across. And again, whether it's we were in Alaska last year and we had a flat tire, and the help of 4 or 5 different strangers to get us through that situation and back on the road. Again, showed us that there are still really good people left in this world. I think way too many times we want to focus on the negative. We want to focus on what mainstream media is telling us should be dividing us, where if you just stop and take a moment and have conversations with people who may not necessarily think like you or look like you or sound like you're going to find out that at the end of the day we all really do want the same things in life.
Yeah,
So it's definitely put a whole new perspective on that, just being able to meet different people in different situations and have actual real conversations with them where they're listening to me and I'm listening to them.
yeah. Well, for people who are reading the new book this month, what do you think they can learn from true life adventure stories, yours included?
Again, I think they're going to learn to stop and take time and slow down a little bit. Um, as in Euclid's chapters, our dog's chapters, he's gonna enforce the fact that you need to not be in a hurry. You need to stop and smell the roses or smell the trash or smell the grass or smell whatever it is, but just stop and don't be in such a hurry. And in my chapters, I'm going to, talk about those same things in a different perspective of just listening to him and, allowing him to slow me down when I needed to be slowed down. Because again, we go through this world where
Yeah.
we're in such a rush to get to the next thing, the next this, the next that, that we, a lot of times we let the moment that we're in pass us by because we're focusing on something ahead when we really just need to focus on what's happening in the here and now today.
Many of your readers, they see you as proof that it's never too late to write a new chapter. How do you encourage people to take that leap?
To not overthink it. When I first started getting this, this calling to start a new chapter, um, I overthought it. I fought it. I didn't want to do it. I thought that my calling was to be on a field helping kids, and that was my calling for 30
Oh,
years. But you don't always have the same calling, so I think embrace it. Don't think about it too logistically, too technically. Just make the change, and see how it happens. And it's not always going to work out the way you drew it up, the way you planned for it to happen. I mean, we made the decision to do this in 2019, and everybody knows what happened in February and March of 2020 with COVID. That was not part of our plan at all. We
yeah,
bought our RV and it sat in our yard for 3 or 4 months. We put our house on the market to sell, and then we took it off the market when COVID hit. That wasn't part of the plan to have a house payment and a RV payment at that point. It was sell the house, use that money to buy the RV. Um, but we still had this feeling and we knew that we were doing the right things. We just continued to move forward, even though it was nowhere near the way we drew the plan up.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Are there, I know over the course of you answering the questions I asked, you did mention some of the works some of the books that are forthcoming, but are there any new books or projects in the works we should look at for you, of
No,
course?
no, I mean, that's what I have right now, on the burner,
You
so to
mentioned
speak.
there's a book you mentioned that you said is about to be released.
Yeah, A Good Boy's Journey will be coming up
Okay.
here the end of August. Um,
Oh yeah,
and
that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's right around the corner. I mean, I'm sitting here literally waiting to get my author copy. I've got a pre-sale going on for that book right now. Um, so that's the one that's going. And then I talked about what I have planned for the series of the Journey of My Mother's Son. But truthfully, you never know what might inspire me that might end up shifting gears. I mean, I wasn't planning on releasing A Good Boy's Journey now. I mean, it wasn't even on my radar until after our dog had passed away. I was really concentrating on getting out volume 2 of the Journey of My Mother's Son, and his passing made me shift gears and inspired me to write more about him and write his story, in our words, in my words and in his words. So even though I've got these couple volumes of the Journey of My Mother's Son on the burner after A Good Boy's Journey comes out, you never know what might shift, what might happen in my
Yeah,
life that I decide that, okay, this is going to be something I'm going to write about now. And I think that's the way creativity works. You can plan it out, but there's going to be times where creativity is going to come along and say, no, we're not working on that anymore. We're going to work on this. And that's what you end
yeah.
up doing.
Change is constant. Yeah,
Yeah,
change is the only constant in life.
no doubt.
Um, on a final note, if you could leave listeners with one challenge for National Reading Your Book Month, what would that challenge be?
Selfishly, it would be to buy one of my books and read that one on Read a Book Month.
It's it's
But
it's a new book. It's
that A Good Boy's Journey pre-sale now. Get it. Get the perks of the pre-sale. Purchase it today. But truthfully, I think it's just take the time to read a book that inspires you. Find something that inspires you, and pick that book up and take the time to sit down and read it. I mean, reading is a little bit of a lost art nowadays. Anybody
yeah,
that's out there that's a reader, man, like I love you, because it is a lost art. You hear so many people who are like, "Oh, I don't read. I don't read." Reading is so beneficial to all of us. I mean, it's a time where you can connect with someone that you've never met, someone who may have passed away decades ago, even centuries ago in some books, but yet you still have this connection to them when you're reading the words that they wrote. So I think that's one thing that I love about books and reading. And as an author, it's a little bit of making yourself a little bit immortal, because long after I pass from this earth, my books will still be here and people will still
yeah,
be picking them up and reading them and say, wow, this guy actually led a pretty cool life, and he had the courage to start a new chapter in his early 50s and run with it.
yeah. Wow, thank you so much. Where can people learn more about the books and connect with you? and also keep in touch with the new projects you're bringing out?
Best place is just to go to my website. It's journeymymotherson.com, also danclouser.com. They both go to the same site. I know Journey My Mother's Son is a lot to type in on the keyboard, so if it's easier to just type in danclouser.com, it'll get you there. And information on all my books. You can buy autographed copies on the site directly. There's also a link to my Amazon page where you can get unsigned copies through Amazon. Unfortunately, my autograph copies I only ship in the U.S. So if you are
Oh,
abroad, you have to go through Amazon and order them. All my social media links are on my website. If you're interested in having me come speak at an event, that's on my website as well. So really just head to my website. Everything's there. JourneyMyMother'sSon.com, DanClouser.com, and that's the best place to connect with me. And shoot me an email. I love hearing from people that I haven't met who are inspired by something I did.
thank you so much, Dan. It's been an absolute delight to chat with you.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode of the Observe Day podcast. Thank you for spending your time with us as we explore today's observance. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with a friend who'd love to celebrate life's special days too. Don't forget to join the newsletter at observeday.com/join for more observance stories, tips, and updates. Until next time, keep finding meaning in every day.